The power, positive thinking people. Yes, with Sir Rod and Lady Z. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we. In God we trust. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Every Monday night, every Wednesday night, every Friday night, every Monday night, every Wednesday night. Okay, how everybody doing today? This is Rodney Grimes, People to People. Here we doing a special here January 27th. I got two amazing men. Actually, it's a third one in here too. That's like putting the icing on the cake. But I'm trying to tell y'all, we ready to make some things happen today, get some information out. And we talking about a few things. We're just going to be flowing with it today. We got some good information to be sharing with you about what's going on in the Txn area. Just things that's going to be able to open up your mind, make you possibly want to relocate. How about that? Hey, gentlemen, how y'all doing today? How's everything?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Can't
My
complain.
man, I see I got Mr. Andrew Clark in the house.
When did the become part of my name?
I love your name.
Hey, babe. First of all, thank you. It's, I don't know, it's a treat. Being on your show, the way you host, the way you bring everything to life. I mean, you really define what could be possible here in Tyson's. And today, it really is an inaugural event. Proud, two board members, but also visionaries in their own rights, from leadership to economics to future of finance. So I'm going to let those guys take the helm, because with that, I've seen Drew on his podcast. Will, I have no idea, but I'm sure it's going to work. So, guys, go crazy. Rodney, again, thank you. And, guys, bless you all.
Hey,
Thanks,
always
Andrew.
a pleasure.
Take
Appreciate it,
care.
man.
So, hey, first of all, gentlemen, I want to say welcome. And I'm excited because being out here in the Tyson's area, we are making new changes and seeing new horizons for many people. Being on the Tyson's committee is a big thing. So, actually, both of you are a member of the Tyson's Commerce, right?
Yeah,
Correct, yeah.
board members on the Tyson's Chamber, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I also just recently joined myself. But I want to start with you, Will, and just tell a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. My name is Will Dyess, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Txn Advisors. The TXN stands for transaction, so we're transaction advisors, and we build pitch decks for folks. So we help folks pitch, raise money, sell their companies. So I guess I've got my hand in, on the pulse, or my fingers on the pulse of a lot of different things. So, we work with a lot of companies in a lot of different industries. So I've been fortunate to kind of see what's working and what's not out there in the capital markets. So that's what I do every day. That's my bread and butter.
So you're actually a good guy to have as a friend. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to have.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Good guy to know.
You got to make sure we gotta keep him around so we can get things moving the way it needs to be done.
That's
Okay.
right.
Nowadays with the
Okay,
markets
and
really,
also introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself as well.
Absolutely. I'm Drew B. Harlow. I'm a serial entrepreneur, honestly. I got a couple different businesses that I do. I've entrepreneurial ADD is what I say I have. But my primary company is Nyan Leadership. I'm a business coach and leadership coach. So I help individual leaders and business owners really get rid of the head trash that holds them back from being the full version of themselves, the best leaders they can be, enabling their staff and their companies to really grow and scale effectively.
So, then I must be getting blessed today because I got two gentlemen that can help me move forward. That's one of the things that we're looking forward with, bringing people out here to the Tyson's area to get us so that we're going to be able to expand and get, be a commodity and something that's going to help people be able to get information out, about individuals like yourself. So, I welcome both of you. As we know, we just ran Andrew out the door, right?
Absolutely.
But so basically, when y'all in either one of y'all can kind of jump in whenever you feel like it. But so you just kind of help people build their personalities with their business to make it so that they have a better result with income and things of that nature. Correct?
Sure. Yeah. In my case, it's and you put it really well, the head trash. I never thought of it that way, but when you're, I guess, leading a company, it's like hard to suss out what you should focus on and what you shouldn't, I guess, because there's a lot of stuff. And so business leaders sometimes just need someone to help them prioritize what they should be caring and thinking about. So that's a lot of how I see what I do. It's just, yeah, that matters, but it doesn't matter as much as the thing you talked about before, and that one doesn't matter as much as the thing you talked about before that. So, yeah, I think having a fresh pair of eyes on your problem and helping you prioritize without being encumbered by like all the knowledge, I think is a good way to describe kind of like how we go about stuff. And I'm sure you probably have similar experience.
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of business owners don't know what they don't know, right? I mean, people in general don't know what they don't know. So it's really dealing in those areas where it's like, okay, look, yeah, like you said, the prioritization of stuff. They don't necessarily, they know all the things they got to do a lot of times, and they just, either for whatever reason, we create these operating rules for ourselves as we grow, as we build ourselves up, right? I mean, the simplest example I always give is, you know, when you're a kid, your mom tells you don't touch the stove because it's hot. That's a rule that you operate on for a while. But if you don't outgrow that rule, you're never going to cook, you're never going to go near a stove, you're never going to do anything like that, right? We do that with real life, too. And the problem is we never take the time to grow out of those rules. So we operate our businesses the way we operate as an employee, which doesn't actually work, ever, right? We operate in certain situations the way we operate in other situations because we create these rules that we think work. And yeah, they work to a point. But at a certain point, you got to realize you outgrow those rules, and they hold you back at a certain point.
You run your company like it was the smaller version of your company, and now you're not there anymore, and you have to run it like this new version of your company. But just following up on that point, it's not only they don't know what they don't know. A lot of times, too, is they know too much, and they don't know what other people don't know. It's called the curse of knowledge, and I say that people suffer from it all the time that I deal with, and it's that, I mean, you could probably look it up on Wikipedia, but the curse of knowledge is just like it's hard for you to know what other people don't know about what you understand, right? And so you kind of take it for granted. Like, I probably do this all the time, right? There's just a lot of stuff that I know, and I just assume you know it. Yeah. And then unless I ask you, I'll never know that you don't know it. And so a lot of what I do as well is just kind of be like, nobody knows that. Yeah. Right. Like, I'm really up to speed with your stuff. I barely caught on to that. Right. So nobody knows what you're talking about when you say that. And that's not always obvious to people because they take for granted the fact that like, oh, well, doesn't everybody know X, Y, and Z? I've known that since I was, in college. Like, okay, you did, but not everybody does. So
exactly.
And listening to both of you, I understand that this is really opening up my mind of over here where I'm thinking, here in the People to People podcast, it's a lot of things that I assume people already are aware of. Yep. And then after I talk to them, I was like, you didn't get that or you didn't understand it? And they'd be like, no. So they missed the whole journey that I was trying to carry them on. Yep. But that's what y'all do is make sure that you start to bring people aware to, things that's important and kind of sometimes even pick it up or slow it down, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, picking up and slowing it down, because sometimes people, like, it's exactly what he said, they get caught in their own stories, right, in their own perspectives. Right. And so the way I see the world is that way I assume everybody else sees the world. And so it's like, oh, you didn't see what I saw, you know what I mean? And it's like you get so caught up in this, and you see that a lot with experts, right? Like you talk to a scientific person, a scientist who's in the lab every single day. The way they talk is very different from somebody who's a business person meeting with people every single day, right? Mm-hmm. What makes a great salesperson is they can relate to people and get people to relate to what they're talking about much easier than a scientist who's like in their own heads, spouting out this stuff, right? The example that I think of all the time, which cracks me up still to this day, I went to school at GW, and I was in an engineering class one day. I'm not an engineer. I quit that. But this is one of the reasons I quit. It's because I was in this class, and this dude, he's a math professor. He's a brilliant guy. Goes on the board, writes this like 5-line equation, right? And everybody's like, okay, trying to write this down furiously, copy down what he said. And then he looks, he's like, and this by inspection is 2. I'm like, by inspection? Dude, you just, what? Like, everyone in the class is like, well, how did he do that by inspection? And then for those of you who don't know, by inspection means you look at it and tell you, like, 2 + 2 is 4. That's by inspection for us. For this dude, sine, cosine, like all this different integrals and stuff, that's all inspection for him because he knows stuff so clearly in his head.
Right. So that's kind of like what you were saying in general with when people assume that somebody understand, but they lost, they just lost, because they really don't get the real picture of the same picture that you have.
Right. They're not dealing with all the same info that you have. Yeah. So it's hard. Yeah. That's one. And then I guess, too, it's also like a lot of people say they're in the weeds, right? They're really low down into it. And so it takes like just higher level perspectives. That's why everyone's talking about 1,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet perspectives. Because like when you're in the weeds, if you look left and you look right, you just see more weeds, right? You're just like, I'm so in it, I can't see anything but how in it I am. That's why when you go to 1,000 feet and you look left and you look right, you can see down over there and down over there. And then when you go to 10,000 feet, you can see on top of the 1,000-foot problems over there if you look left and right. And so that's kind of like why bringing in a fresh pair of eyes sometimes helps, because they kind of have to start at 10,000 feet, because I'll never get to the weeds with you.
Yeah.
But it's going to take me a while to get down there.
Right.
So I have to kind of start at 10,000 feet. And so by pulling the leader out of the weeds, because they have to meet you there, you force them to do that kind of viewing as well. Like, what does the view look like from up here to you? And they're like, oh, yeah, now that I'm out of the weeds and I'm up here with you and I'm explaining to you what all that is, like, I haven't really taken the time to go from 0 feet to 10,000. And now that I'm here, the view's pretty interesting. And like, I hadn't noticed that was over there and that was over there. So that's kind of why bringing somebody in that is just a fresh pair of eyes alone, just by virtue of doing that and having to explain to them, get them to the weeds, you'll have to go up 10, 30,000 feet and see. And that's usually pretty good for people.
Actually, for a lot of the guests that's tuning in, I like to be spontaneous and keep it just straightforward so people be able to pick up and understand. So what I want to say right now is just listening to you just already open up my thinking on some of the things that I have to do with the People to People podcast. And like you said, so sometimes, I come in and I'm right here, and like you said, I'm right in the weeds, but I'm thinking that I see everything, but all I really do is just see the weeds around me. But like you said, when you elevate, and that's from somebody else giving you the information, and you start looking at it from a different perspective, you'd be like, oh, man, that's what I need to do to get to this point. And then you start to see the business or whatever the project is, start to see it grow.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So with many people, do you think that it's important that they try to do this in the beginning of their projects with their business, or is this something that happens later on?
I'd say it depends, honestly.
Yeah,
it really depends.
it depends.
There's no absolute rule for this.
Okay.
Because the thing is, it depends on what kind of business owner you are. Some business owners are subject matter experts, right? And they live in the weeds, and they're trying to run their business. The trouble with that is, like he said, you get stuck in the weeds. You don't see the strategic values of the goals you want to get to, and you end up giving yourself, instead of getting a business, you give yourself 12, 15 jobs, right?
Yeah,
instead of
right.
Whereas you just give up one job to get 15 jobs, and they don't realize that that's what's happening to them. Other business owners, when they start their business, they already have stuff already in place. They have strategic connections. They got people they can bring on. They got investors that they're bringing in. So they can afford to hire people and get people at those different levels to kind of scale that business off the bat. But he raised a really good important point, which is that even when you start with like whatever you start with, as the company grows, whatever you started with is not going to grow with the company unless you intentionally grow with the company, right? So you got to be reevaluating every so often as the company is growing with it. So there's not really an absolute rule. It's just a matter. I think the most important thing I can tell any business owner is to invest in self-awareness, right?
I was about to say, yeah. It takes a crazy level of introspection to pull this off on your own. I mean, you can. And that's honestly why it just helps to have someone else do it, because, like, man, I don't even have the level of introspection to be like, what am I doing? Like, what, like,
what am I doing?
Why am I doing it? Why do I exist? I mean, that's some real, like, go on a walk, existential stuff, and, like, I'm just not doing that. And so it's hard because, mostly because you're probably just doing it in your head, and it's hard to complete thoughts that you don't write down a lot of times. So you just spin your wheels and you're like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, because it's just really hard to iterate like multi-step thoughts in your head and then get to a conclusion if you never write anything down. So it takes some intentionality to be like, all right, I'm gonna get a whiteboard, right? Or I'm gonna write, this is what business plans and pitch decks exist for the most part. It's just a mental like exercise for you to, put these introspections onto a page. Right. That's why, even if you're not raising money, this whole, call it a pitch deck, call it whatever you want, a memo, just writing down the results of your introspections is probably going to help you.
I love that whiteboard thing, because I tell everyone I talk to, whiteboards. I have 3 whiteboards in my house that I use on a regular basis, right, for different reasons. But it helps us write it down. And people try to, typing it is a good alternative, but the best way to do it is write it by hand, because your brain processes things differently when you write it versus when you say it versus when you type it.
Exactly.
So it's really powerful to sit there and just whiteboard out stuff. You'll make a lot of progress just doing that, honestly.
Well, as y'all see, it's not a whiteboard in here, but guess what? The next time you come in, it will be one. I'm getting ready to get that.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, actually, you know, this is amazing. So for the individuals who out there that's watching the program, feel free to call in at 703-752-6120, 703-752-6120. What I'm sitting here doing right now is just really finding myself puzzled that just in a just short conversation with you, I see how much I really need to work on. And that's because, like you said, when you have somebody else come in and see it from a different perspective, meaning you just suggested a couple of things like the whiteboard. See, I have another job that we do these things. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. I don't. When the callers come in, I try to get them right away. So let's see if we got somebody calling in. Hello, caller. State your name and where you're calling from, please.
This is Rachel Pope, and I'm calling from the Maryland area.
Hi, Rachel.
And
Hey, Rachel.
I want to say hello to all the kings.
How you doing, there?
Rachel?
Thank you. Hello.
Good, fine. I was listening to your guest, and I wanted to know, do y'all work with artists as your clients?
Is it artists?
Music artists
Or
or
Any artist?
Yes. I mean, the
Yeah.
short answer is yes.
yeah.
I mean, I've worked with artists, painters. I haven't worked with any music artists yet, but I've worked with some painters, digital artists, that kind of space. But again, it really depends on what you're trying to do. And I always tell folks, if I'm not a good fit, I can always refer you to somebody else. But yeah, I'm always happening.
Yeah, I've done the music artist side.
Okay. Well, then I can ask my questions then, because I'm an artist, and during COVID, it stopped everything for me as a visual artist to work with children and arts and education, etc. So during this time, I've been dwelling in my head, like y'all mentioned, and I got weeds all around me. I need somebody to come with a little chopper and chop the weeds down so I can see further to take what I have in my mind to another level, because I'm stuck. And I decided to use my face as my canvas online and create educational, encouraging game of, what do you call it, virtual game online.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stuck right now because I said I need to take it higher. I need somebody else to see this and see what they see.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you guys, can you share your information so we can reach out to you?
Sure.
Absolutely.
And also it's, you know, you should be, it's hard to do any of this stuff alone. So you should always be thinking about who would get what you're doing, and because they'll be the most excited to work with you, right? And they may even work with you out of passion.
Yeah.
Right. So once you find someone who's actually super into what you're doing, they may just be like, you know what, I love this. I just want to help. And that's kind of the best type of help you can get, because it's startups are too hard to do alone. I mean, they're not too hard to do alone, but they're very difficult. And I mean, it's much easier to do it with a partner. Anything is easier to do it with a partner, because then you have a check and balance inherent to the operation, right?
Yes.
So you have like one check always.
Right.
You still may need someone to come in and do the high level stuff, but having partners and advisors is a big piece of, at your stage, what would probably help you. And long live the cold call. I mean, I've gotten a lot of incredible people in my life just by shooting them a message on LinkedIn. So craft a little paragraph and say, hey, I looked at your info you look like you are into the stuff I'm into. You know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Would love to chat for 15 minutes, right? And you know, follow up maybe once or twice, but don't bother them too much. But that's you could do that all the time, and yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that. I mean, yeah, it's always great to get someone else involved to kind of help you kind of be that check and balance. I would say take the time, self-awareness wise, take the time to identify where your strengths are and where you could use someone to complement you, because what you don't want to do is get two creatives together and then have just have that overload on the one side of things. I mean, it's great to have two creative minds, but you want to have someone who complements your skill set. So that way you have that check and balance really in effect.
True.
And when you go to the LinkedIn cold emails, I love that idea, but you want to do it right. Like he said, you want to make sure that you're framing it as, let's have a quick conversation and talk about you, and let me tell you about me and what I'm doing, and make sure it's very clear. It's not a sales call or something like that.
Right.
You know, the best way I found to do that is to find people online, follow them for a little bit, see what they're posting, and get involved in those conversations with them, so that way they know you're a real person. You're not some bot from Russia.
Twitter's a great community.
Absolutely.
I love Twitter, and yeah, you'll find your people on Twitter, and people are really responsive on Twitter. I have like friends, and so a lot of my best deals have come from Twitter. My employees come from Twitter. It's like everything. You can build your whole business community on Twitter, and you'll find your people there. And they'll
Sorry.
No, go ahead. They'll respond.
Yeah, and you can follow certain hashtags both on Twitter and LinkedIn, right? You can put in different things you want to follow and take a look at and see whether it's it's artists, things like that. Like you can follow those kind of things. And really just get involved in those conversations, and just listen to the chatter. Sometimes it's good to just listen to the chatter and see what people are asking for and looking for.
You'll learn a lot about your own opportunity.
Absolutely.
Just by being like, oh, that's sort of like what I'm doing. Okay, let me read into that. Oh, wow, somebody else thought of this. It's kind of the same.
Yep.
Cool. So you'll validate yourself. You can validate your idea just off of reading other people. I've had plenty of ideas, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's a good idea or not. And I'll see it on Twitter and be like, okay, I know it's a good idea now, because like that person's doing it. And
you also want to find out about your audience. Who are you targeting? You can have the best idea ever, but if you don't know who to target it to, you're not going to make the sales you want to make out of that situation, right? So you want to identify who you want to target with what you're doing, who the ideal people to talk to around your idea are.
Yeah.
And that's going to help you a lot. So.
Okay. All right, then. I guess I got to get it on social media, on the other ones that like Twitter.
Social media is super powerful.
Yeah.
It'll surprise you how, I mean, Twitter, you could build your whole empire on Twitter.
It can be dangerous, but it's also extremely powerful. Like anything is extremely powerful. Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, you might doom scroll for like days at a time. Well, we'll get you our contact info though, and feel free to reach out.
So
Thank you so much.
and thank you for calling. Thank you for calling in, and we will definitely let them put their information out so you'll be able to get in touch with them. Yes.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So, Lady Z, do we got any questions over there?
Yes, we do, from Hanadi. She says, I have a question. I have a management consult company, serves in construction, design, and project management. I'm targeting government agencies and private clients. Is allocating opportunities part of the services the brothers provide?
We're brothers now.
We're brothers, yeah.
Is what a service that we provide?
Allocating services, is that what you said?
Yes, allocating opportunities.
Allocating opportunities. Can you say a little more about what that means to that person?
Yeah, allocating services, like how they should distribute their time between the private and the government clients.
Or is it making connections to other folks? Because that could be either one.
Well, to answer the question succinctly, I'm a one-trick pony. I just build pitch decks. So, I mean, like I'm generally knowledgeable about stuff, but I'm mostly good for capital raises and M&A transactions. So that's like my bread and butter as far as services I provide. Advice on that specific question, if we get more clarity, I'll definitely take a stab at it.
Hanadi, if you're watching, call in. The number is 703-752-6120. You'll be able to ask, be a little more specific, and I think they can give you a much better answer if you called in. Again, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, and it's really, really funny because I've been doing business off and on different areas, production. And just in this little short period sitting here, it's really kind of like taking me into it. Like I've kind of been going the wrong direction in trying to move forward. So when you're talking about moving forward and looking at it from a different perspective, you said it's good to have other eyes coming in with you.
It can be, yeah.
Absolutely. I wouldn't frame it though as the wrong direction, right? I mean, it served you to this point.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, we're here right now talking to you, right? So
Yeah.
I would never frame it as the wrong direction. I mean, right or wrong, it's relative. Everything's relative.
Right.
So it served you to a point. It's what you knew. You do what you knew, right?
Right.
And then you don't know what you don't know until you find out, and then you're like, okay, well now let me shift directions. The question is ineffective or ineffective based on your goals, not right or wrong.
Right.
So you still be growing, but you're growing a little slower than you could grow.
Right.
Right. So I wouldn't be too harsh on yourself about that.
I mean, that's me. I'm definitely, when I'm thinking about the things that I be doing, I just love to win. I'm one of those type guys. If we get a team together, I want us to. Hey, when you say let's win, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And so, when I start to think about the People to People podcast, and let me give you a little history on that, just real brief.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Coming from, I started this at home, just helping people by general conversation, right? And then people started to call in and talk to me, and they was liking some of the information that I was sharing, helping with different areas of depression and all kind of things of that nature, and also business information as well. And it started to build a little audience. Coming from one demographic to another, which I came to Tyson's Corner, has really changed the arena. Okay? And for me, I don't like to be phony, so I'm going to keep it real. I was a little intimidated. I was a little intimidated coming into this arena. And I'm just one of my partners just talking to me the other day. He told me, he said, yo, you got to go in there, with that confidence and do what you do. So now I'm listening to you. One, the whiteboard helps because you write it down, because once you write it, it sticks in your head and it becomes almost like it comes alive, right?
You can complete the thought easier if you write it.
Right. And then the other thing is then when you have those opportunities where you bring in individuals like yourself, that they sit down and they really open up your mind to help you to be able to say, okay, I can do better than this.
Yeah, or at least they have something to go with. Because if you haven't written it down, I have a hard time helping you.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I can't help you if you haven't helped yourself in the lowest level, which is just write a page or two about what you're thinking.
Okay, so that would be what we would call somewhat a business plan.
A memo. A business plan is like at least the way people think of it is like this outdated 20-page document that you don't really need to write. but a memo is, you could call, that's sort of a business plan. You're planning your business. You're writing it down. It's not like the traditional capital B, capital P business plan.
Okay.
But it's planning your business. It's plan for your business. Yeah, it's a memo about what you're trying to accomplish.
It doesn't have to be super fancy. People make it more complicated than it needs to be, right?
Right.
A
Yeah.
business plan, it depends on what the goal is. Again, I always tell people the same way, depends on what the goal is of what
Right.
you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to go and get investors, you may need a much more complicated business plan.
Right.
But if you're trying to just have this for yourself and for your team
Yeah.
to figure out what do we need to do next, that doesn't have to be very complicated at all, right?
If it's a factory and you're trying to raise like $100 million, you probably need like a business plan.
Capital B, capital B.
Yeah, exactly, right. But if you don't really need all that, if you just have a small business, you just need to write it down and iterate on it, right? That's kind of the thing.
Okay.
And that's the key. The second part is revisiting it every so often and saying, okay, where are we at right now? How are we doing progress-wise? But based on this plan, how do we want to revisit it and change it?
Yeah.
I would like to interject. Can you talk about the business canvas model? It's better than the business and plan visibility study.
The business model canvas.
Yes.
Oh man, I haven't done one of those in a long time. That's like a business school exercise. Not saying that it's bad. I just haven't done one in a while. But look, all that is writing stuff down.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a structured way to write stuff down. The point is just get it on paper.
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
Exact same idea.
Right.
If you
It's
do a
just different
memo
name.
or a business model canvas or a deck or just whatever, a scribble note.
It also depends how you process information too, right? Like if you're a visual person, then having pictures out there, having all that kind of stuff, like what people call a vision board or whatever you want to call
Right.
it, that can be helpful for you too. But if you're more of a lingual person, you want to see the words and read the words and figure out what makes sense, that's the way you do it. So it really depends on how you process information individually and as a team. If you have a leadership team or partners that you want to work with, like it depends on how you guys work together as a team and process information. So I wouldn't say there's a wrong way to do it unless you're talking about not doing it at all, right?
Right.
Or not doing it in a way
That's the thing you can't do is not do it at all.
Right.
Got to write.
Yeah.
Got to write stuff down.
And then feedback, right? Get feedback. If you you start somewhere, like just get something on paper or on a whiteboard or something, and then talk with your team if you have a team, or just with yourself. Like, is this helpful for me right now? Right? Is this helping us to move forward? And if it's not, what can we change? What can we do better? What do we want to stop doing? The whole stop, start, continue idea is a great way to kind of look at that every so often and say, what are we doing that works? What are we doing that's not working? What can we do to do this better, right? And there's infinite numbers and names and stuff like that. I'll be honest, the vocabulary doesn't really matter, right? It's really what you do and how you do it yourself. You can call it unicorn revision every time you want to, right? But if it works for you, it works for you, right?
Yeah. The bigger point, though, is no one can help you until you have something.
Yes.
Right? So even if you just have a one-page memo, and that's what you send to somebody before you have a call with them, they'll be like, oh, well, thanks for the insight. Because otherwise, the call isn't very productive. It's sort of just like, so get me up to speed, right? And then without writing the memo, your thoughts are unstructured. So you're like, well, let me take you over here. Oh, let me bounce over here. And then the person's like trying to follow you, and they're like, man, I'm having a really tough time like figuring out what you're trying to do and how I can even help you because you kind of jumped around. So it's like just the exercise of writing a memo probably is I would say you should try it if you haven't done it.
Yeah, but actually, you know, and you saying that, what helps even with me doing the podcast, right? I try, at first I used to just really have the guests come in, and I really didn't want to do too much background check on them because I didn't want to stir up anything that they didn't want to talk about. But then I also realized when I did write down short notes, which I snuck and did on you.
There you go.
Right? It makes a difference. So this is here. You see what I'm saying? So I see what happens when you do that.
Yeah.
It kind of puts you in a position where you got something to move and a direction to go. And it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, okay, and I know that I'm moving in the right direction, especially if you can start checking off and say, I did this, that worked. Let's go to the next level. Like when you was talking about from the weeds going to 10,000 feet, looking down and saying, okay, now what I just did, that wasn't profitable or productive.
Let me review it. Let me look at it at a high level and say that that's the case instead of just being like, let me give it another try.
Yeah.
And you always have the option of kind of just like going on improv as well, right? You got that stuff as basic stuff of what you want to talk about. But then you always have the option of saying, hey, you said something I really want to dive into. Let me dive into that.
Right.
And then come back to your questions. Okay, now I had this other question I want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
In terms of using this podcast as an example. But you can do that in business as well, right? You can say, okay, you know what? We get this plan. We want to hit X, Y, and Z milestones across the board for this year. And then maybe in the middle of Q1, you're like, hey, our customers are really responding to this offering we just created right now.
Right.
Why don't we dive into this and do some more research and see where this can lead? And then next thing you got a pivot that makes really, really a lot of sense for your business that you may not have thought of before. Because, pivots are the last couple of years is all pivots, right? I mean, in terms of adjusting to COVID and everything that happened, if you didn't pivot in your business, a lot of business went under for that reason because they didn't know how to pivot or couldn't pivot. But the ones that succeeded, and some of them actually blew up in a good way. I know a couple of folks that I talk to on a regular basis. I do a lot of networking. And some people started the business at the beginning of COVID, and they blew up because they made that pivot for themselves.
Right.
Right. And if you don't leave yourself the freedom to pivot and change the way you're doing business, you're gonna get locked into something, and you're probably not gonna do as well long term.
Again, like I said, this is, listening to both of you talk, I'm going back and I'm thinking about some of the things that I did and how I got where I am today. So I did production. I used to do showcasing, artist development, right? And of course, prior to right when the pandemic started, I had a event that I was getting ready to do, and then it got shut down. But starting the podcast, starting to do that, it took me into another direction, which still will work with my production part on doing showcasing if we get back to the level where people are starting to come out. So I understand, it's a good thing to be able to kind of navigate according to situations. But for all the audience that's out there that's just joining in, I have two nice young gentlemen in here, and y'all are actually affiliated with the Txn's Commerce, right?
Chamber of Commerce.
Chambers
yeah.
of Commerce.
So we're,
That's
we're
right.
actually all on the board apparently. So,
Yeah, yeah. So talk about that a little bit. How you feel, being in that.
Well, you mentioned Andrew before, and he's the chairman of the Txn Chamber, and honestly, I wouldn't be involved in the chamber at this point if it wasn't for him.
It's true.
Yeah.
I joined the chamber a couple years ago, actually, because I was with a company. I was doing some work for them, and I thought, it'd be a good way to network and that kind of thing. And to be honest, they had some cool events over time, but long term, it wasn't really a great networking opportunity for me at that point. So I let my membership kind of lapse, and then I want to say it was last year, or maybe the year before. I think it's actually a little year before. And Andrew reached out and he's like, "Hey, I saw your membership was lapsing. Do you want to have a cup of coffee and talk about it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" He's like, "I'm taking over, whatever." So we talked about it, and I loved his vision for it.
Yes.
His vision was very much, let's grow this and really focus on the talent we have in Tyson's, the talent we have around the area, and how we can really make this into something that's great, not just a networking organization, because that's great. I mean, it's good. You need that. But there's more than that available here in Tyson's, right?
Yes.
And let's highlight the talent we have here. Let's highlight the people we have involved. And I love the idea because that's what I'm about, right? I love that concept of growing people and helping people to grow and build their businesses and really highlight what we have locally, because we have a lot of talent locally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
But-
Yeah, I'm from this area, so I'm from the DMV, and so
Same.
I've been, moving and shaking in the same buildings for the last 10 plus years. Over at the Tower Club, at the Connectrepreneur events, and
Okay.
my whole entrepreneurial career has been here in the DMV. So obviously, when Andrew asked me to join the chamber, I was thrilled because I love this area so much, and I'm a big champion of trying to put the DMV on the map.
Yep.
I think that we have so much talent here.
Yes.
And we don't get the kind of love that New York or LA or anybody
man.
else gets. So
Yes.
I'm here to change that. And
I do. I'm you making me smile right now because I feel the exact same way. And I just want to do a shout out to Andrew and tell Andrew, what I find amazing with that gentleman is this. Andrew is he looking at it, he's bringing the talent and he's putting it all in there, and he's giving everybody that opportunity to come in and feel a part of what's going on. So that's a good thing.
it's true. He's been a part of the community.
Yeah.
I've run into
local
Andrew
too.
everywhere.
Everybody know him.
Well,
Everybody
he's super
knows that.
connected, but also that I want to
Yeah.
bring it full circle to what you talked about the weeds, being in the weeds, right? He's amazing at being a 50,000 foot view.
Yeah,
But
yes.
then bringing people in who are at the middle levels and the weeds, right?
Yeah.
To get things done, to get the executors in
Yes.
place.
It's true.
Right? To make sure things are getting done.
Well, I hope Andrew is listening to us giving me kudos, right?
He's
Yeah,
good.
but we got to take it out of peg at some
Yeah.
point later on because we're talking too good about it at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, he gonna have to take us out and buy lunch or something, right? But no, that's really, really, really exciting for me because also being a part of this process of seeing things grow, and I'm meeting individuals like yourself that's making it so that it's expanding my thinking as well. What I like what you said though, I'm from the DMV, and we look at all the other areas where they're growing and doing things, and here we're right here where we right outside the nation capital,
Yep.
right? Everybody in the world, and I just mentioned this the other day, knows about Washington, D.C., right? Everybody that want to really travel, they want to come here. But what are we really doing to really make it so that when they come here, it's it's something they're going to remember for the rest of their life, other than just the memorial sites and things like that.
Exactly.
And that's what I like what's going on in Tyson's.
And just DMV in general. I
Yeah.
mean, we had a lot of. I think Cap One's headquarters is here.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we have Lidos, and then we've
Amazon's
got
down the street.
UiPath. I'm pretty sure is from around here. I mean, they're obviously from Europe,
Cvent.
but they're Cvent, Fiscal Note. AOL was the back in the day, and Octopus just got bought by T-Mobile. They were
bunch of
from
biotech here,
Bethesda. So the DMV has it going on. We're just
man,
we
yeah.
don't say much because we don't have to.
How about that? Yeah, but sometimes it's not too bad to brag just a little bit.
Yeah, right.
No, it's the best.
The right amount. The right amount.
Yeah,
Just the right amount.
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
just it's kind of a quiet-ish city because of all the politics. So
Yeah.
And
it's,
that's what
we're
we're known
just
for government. We're not known for the entrepreneur because the government stuff overshadows a lot of times, right? But I love what you said about the DMV as a whole because
Yes.
Tyson's is really powerful, but it's the whole area. Right?
Yeah,
You got Bethesda,
yeah,
you got
yeah,
the
but-
270 corridor, you got all over Maryland and Virginia and the capital itself, right?
Yeah.
DC itself. I mean, you go around 20, 30 miles around DC, there's so much talent.
That's
so
it.
So
amazing.
much.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's what one of the things, you know, when we were sitting down talking with Andrew, that's what he was talking about. He wants to bring this talent out of the weeds.
Yeah.
And so that people will be able to know and feel comfortable, you know, to be able to try to reach out and try to move forward.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here, that's what people to people is about. So, you know, I want y'all to know that please utilize this platform anytime you want to come out to help get the information out. Also, I want to be your friend. So
I appreciate it. Likewise,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Likewise. It goes both ways.
on the real, man, because it's all about us helping people. That's what I like. That's what I like doing. You know, I love helping people, and I like to see people move forward. That's what I'm talking about. And let me tell you something. When the lady said brothers, right? Let me tell you, y'all are my brothers. See, when we moving in the same direction with the same agenda, you know, then that's when people see us and they look at it more like on the terminology, y'all moving like family. My slogan is people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. And what I believe is people to people is me, you, and them. So that's all of us.
Yeah.
And when we come together and we get this information and we see the power, because just a little bit of information that y'all shared just in this little bit of time is really powerful. And it can make so much difference in people's life and their process of moving forward, right? Mm-hmm. And then what happens? We become positive thinking people because everybody got that smile on their face and said, yo, you help me, you know, I'm helping you, and, you know, we moving forward. So definitely know that people to people is here for that same thing. Let's get the DMV out there where we don't have a problem bragging a little bit. Yeah. You know, we can tell them. Say,
we need to talk more about it and build a community a little bit better. I think everyone else just did better at building the entrepreneurial community and then the brand. I mean, I think that's the difference.
Silicon Valley is a brand. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
branded it really, really well. But I love what you said, and you said the word I was thinking about when you were talking just now is community.
Yeah.
Right? Building that community around that. It's a really powerful word. People don't necessarily understand the power of that word.
Yes.
You have a strong community, you can weather any storm.
Yeah.
Right. You can weather anything because there's support within that community that you know somebody's always got your back. You know that within that community, it is like a family. If it's strong enough.
And the communities have gravity, so it's like they'll just keep growing. So like we just need to figure out how to like have that big bang moment here in the DMV where it's like, okay, like the right people got together and now that thing is snowballing and it's turning into a monthly, weekly, you know, semi-annual thing. I mean, Txn is probably the best at that, honestly. Connectrepreneur and Txn Wong, he's probably been the biggest champion of community, and he's helped me so much. I mean, like half of my career is probably attributable to Txn Wong. I met everybody at the Connectrepreneur events. I've been going since like 2014, 2015. Nice. So it's just once you become the same face. I mean, you see the same people for years. They've watched me grow up. So. Yeah, kudos to him for kind of championing the whole. I don't want to take away from what he's done because he's done a great job, but can always, you know, keep it growing and keep the camaraderie going. We're all from the same city, so might as well row in the same direction.
Yeah, and I love that, and that's one of the things again I'm gonna take that and it's going on my whiteboard that I'm gonna write on there to represent the DMV at a different level.
There you go. That's a good strategic goal.
That's powerful. Yeah, I love that.
I like that, and that's what we want to do. One of the things that I've been trying to get some individuals who I've been networking with, when they realized that I relocated out here to Tyson's, they was like, "Man, you know that's a long way." Believe it or not, it only takes 20 minutes.
Where'd you come from?
Fort Washington.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
My place is out there.
Yeah. But you know, believe it or not, even with the bad traffic, it's not as long as you think.
Yeah.
No, it takes me 30 minutes to get here. It's not that far.
Yeah.
I'm in Bladensburg, so.
Yeah. And I be laughing now when I be telling people, I be like, yo, I say Tyson Corner, they get this look on their face like I'm getting ready to talk about going to, you know, Tuckahoe, Mississippi or something, you know? And I'm like, dude, 20 minutes. You walk to 7-Eleven in 20 minutes, you know what I mean? And back home. So, you know, but one of the things that I know about the Tyson area is that they are an area that support each other. And that's a real good thing. And then a lot of people in different communities in this area, if they start to really get involved and network with one another, they can make a big change in, you know, the future for us in the DMV.
Yeah.
collectively.
And along the same lines, shout out to Brandon for Intelligent Office here where we're at. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's again that community that support everybody gives within the Tyson's community, within the DMV area. It's just that level of, I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna make sure that the folks in my community have a place to have this kind of thing, right? To have these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
And to really call home, right?
That you hit. Actually, he kind of was reading my mind because I didn't want to make sure that I did not go without giving kudos to the intelligence office. Being here has been a very, very powerful move for me. And again, Brandon and Harry and all of the staff here, man, they are amazing. How they make you feel like a family. I heard Harry as he was walking and he was sharing some information with somebody who's looking at one of the offices, and he said we like family here. And that made me, when I heard that, it really made me feel comfortable, and so that's definitely kudos to Intelligence Office. Y'all want to come out at 1934 Old Gallows Road, y'all need to come out here and talk to the gentleman out here, especially talk to Brandon. And also, I got to do this real quick. I got to give kudos to somebody who really, really stepped in and helped and made a change, and that's EHOP, the gentleman sitting there with the earphones on. Hey, he was.
We got a camera for him or no?
Yeah. he made it a point to come and step in and it brought me out to introduce me to Brandon. So I cannot mention Brandon without mentioning his name as well. But we got 5 more minutes left, so I'm not going to sit over on this end and take up that 5 minutes. I need y'all two gentlemen to talk about some things that's going to benefit our watchers when they get on and they want to talk about, moving forward with their business.
You want to go first?
Sure. I think we covered a lot of good stuff today, and I was thinking about the last call that we had, or the first call, and what she was trying to do, and a piece of advice I guess I didn't get to give too is, like, as well as like writing down your your memo, just writing down your thoughts, it's also kind of important to think about like who the stakeholders are. Like, I have a big whiteboard at home that's just squares and lines with words in them. So it's not like a write-up, but it's really just like that entity is related to that entity, and then this is related to that, and then they're related to that. And there's tools out there like Rome that you can use to do that in a really sophisticated way. But at the very least, like, just having and people say like the full picture, right? Like, I like to draw pictures of like, relationships, and it helps you like be able to look at stuff and be like, oh, well, what if I connected that to that, right? So as well as the memo, you can also, I don't know what it kind of falls into because I've given up on form. I just literally draw squares and rectangles and lines to connect different entities to try and understand what I'm trying to do. So that's probably just another piece of early stage, not even early stage, any stage. If you're trying to solve a business problem, sit down, grab a piece of paper, draw the lines and rectangles, and look at the full picture, like the literal picture.
Yes.
I love that. I'm actually going to go from a different angle. I would close with this. There's a lot of what people call FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there right now. The markets the way they are, everything happening, inflation, if you're in crypto's going crazy. The NASDAQ, the stock market's going crazy. As business owners, we can't afford to subscribe to FUD, right? To fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? We gotta always be thinking about things in a strategic, logical, based way, right? I mean, if we let that stuff in, that's what cripples us, and that's what ends up crippling our business and letting it not happen. There's always strategies to do. There's always ways to pivot. There's always ways to create strategies and say, okay, you know what? This is happening over here. I can respond to it in multiple ways. Now I can freeze, the whole fight, flight, or freeze, right? I can freeze and do nothing and then watch everything, kind of see what happens, and that never really works, honestly. I can run. I can quit the business, shut it down, and say I'm going to go back to work for somebody else and figure out what makes sense. And maybe that's the right call. It might be. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, right? But there's other ways to fight, and you can say, you know what, I'm gonna fight this in the sense of like, I'm gonna figure out a way to make this work for me, right? I'm gonna figure out how I can make this work for myself, and drawing diagrams, making sure things work for you, strategizing in some way, getting together your people, and putting together people in general that can ground you, that can help you to be that community that you need, even if it's like 2 or 3 people that you can always depend on to brainstorm with, right? It's like the meeting before the meeting, right?
Yes.
Your brain trust, you can get together and say, hey, listen, I got this call coming up in a couple hours with a potential investor or with a potential partner or with a connector that I need to connect with. Here's what I'm thinking about. What do you think about this? And just bounce ideas off people. That's how you can be strategic in your business, and that's what you need to do as a business owner, right? You can't afford to freeze, and you can't afford to just give up. A lot of times, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you got to keep trying stuff.
I love it. First of all, I want to say thank you to both of y'all gentlemen for coming and taking the time to share your information with me. I also would like to get this where you're going to do this publicly and agree to come back.
Sure.
Absolutely. I mean,
Why not? Yeah.
Hey, because really, we could really help a lot of people and open up a lot of people minds to being able to move forward. So everybody that tuned in, this is People to People with Rodney Grimes. My guest here is Will. Your name is William, but they call you Will, right?
You can call me Will. Yeah.
Will and Drew.
Yep.
Hey, it was a pleasure, gentlemen. I really sat here and I really got a lot of new ideas and ways that I'm getting ready to expand. This is like a home to you too. Don't ever
Appreciate
hesitate to
Thanks,
call
man.
and say, yo, I want to come on, and you want to just focus on talking about your business or what you do. You're more than welcome.
Why don't we come back and look at your whiteboard drawings?
Let's do that. I'm down.
How about
We'll
that?
build. We'll
Yeah.
build. We'll build in public.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
I love
Let's do
that. Okay, I'm gonna do that. That's good. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Everybody for tuning in.
Take
It's People
care.
to People with Rodney Grimes. Y'all be blessed. People to people, power to power, positive thinking people.
Every Monday night, every Wednesday night, every Friday night, every Monday night, every Wednesday night, every Friday night, every Monday night.